As we move through life, we experience a wide variety of changes and challenges. These sometimes manifest into disease. You may have found yourself on a path of trying to heal your own body. My guest today has gone through his own self-healing journey, and he is here to share what he has put together for himself. So if you are in a place of needing some support with your healing, you are going to love this episode. His name is Joshua Bloom, and he describes himself as an empath, medium, indigo, healer, and just a little bit kooky. After studying an abundance of healing modalities with the intention to heal himself, he realized that this shit doesn't work. What he did learn quite well was what didn't work, but he also realized that some of the aspects of each method actually did work. And it depended on how those aspects were put together, which he found to be very intriguing, and eventually led him to create his own method. A master of many arenas, Joshua has developed his own healing modality called quantum energy transformation, a way of being called being quantum, a healing process called age clearing, his own Reiki modality named being Reiki, a life force awakening, and an allergy elimination process called quantum allergy release. He currently empowers students and clients to completely release ailments such as fibromyalgia, pain, anxiety, fear, depression, allergies, migraine headaches, attention deficit, and much more. Welcome, Joshua.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'll tell you what, you had me at kooky, so let's go to kooky.
Okay.
A great place to start, at that kooky place. I love that because you know what? We're all a bit kooky and we're all authentic. And so I'm super excited you're here today.
Thank you so much.
So I'd love to start with your healing journey and how you stepped into that enthusiastic spiritual arena that you're currently now in with support to other people.
Well, I really think that all of this stuff found me. I don't think I was really in search for it too much, other than I started to fall apart and I wasn't really moving forward very well. And when I started to fall apart, I was getting anxiety attacks, and the anxiety was so bad. And I don't mean, oh, I felt a little nervous, or, oh, it feels really horrible inside. It felt really like I was going crazy. It was like I was a mess. And it came right after I was featured on the front page of the Washington Post. And I thought, my career is set. Who gets on the front page of the Washington Post? This is great. So when that happened, I realized that I was kind of in trouble here. I then lost all of my clients because I was a life coach and business coach at the time. And I felt very much like I was Humpty Dumpty. I had to put myself back together again. And that wasn't so easy. I searched and did sessions with people and learned over 20 different healing modalities just to see if I could get something that would work, because most of the time, nothing worked. And so I finally went to a hypnosis center, and I realized after doing the first session with them that, well, that's not it either. that wasn't going to work. But I did say, maybe I can help you. And I thought, wow, that could be a potential. I could help them, but in turn, that would help me. First of all, I was scared to be alone, and during the day I would be alone. And so by working at the center, I'd be less alone because there would be more people there with me. So I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to help them. And also helping them, gave me more confidence because, kind of lost my confidence getting all these anxiety attacks all the time. And it was so difficult. I also had migraine headaches, attention deficit disorder, dyslexia, all this stuff was going on. And I was literally falling apart. So while I was at the center, I was asked in an emergency situation to take a client. The owner of the center knew that I had some background, but I didn't go into any detail with her. I had a lot of background. I knew what I was doing, but she didn't really know, but she got into a jam. And the jam that she got into was that she double booked this client like 3 times. And basically said to the lady she had to, come back another time. And she said, I can't do it to her again. I can't cancel on this lady again. Would you be able to take my other client? I said, no problem. So this lady had anxiety, which was interesting because that was what I was dealing with. Mm-hmm. And I took her through some transformation experiences in about 40 minutes. After the session, the lady looked at me and she said, I want to speak to the owner. And I said, oh, what did I do wrong?
Oh, no.
What did I do this time? I thought I did a great job and I felt really good about what we did. But, my feedback, I want to speak to the owner, didn't sound so good to me. It's like going to the principal's office,
Right.
So I say, okay, and I'm feeling kind of unsure about everything because, that's where I was in my life at the time anyway. And I open the door to let the lady out the door, and she goes and talks to the owner, and she said, you better keep him.
Wow.
You better keep him. He's amazing. He said, I don't feel any anxiety at all. And she also wrote back later to us that it was done. She didn't have any anxiety anymore. She was good. And that was really good for her.
But you being a client, hello.
Yes. It's like, that was good for her. But what about Joshua? I was so happy for her, but I was so upset because I must know something. If I was able to help her eliminate her anxiety, why wasn't I able to do the same for myself? And I do think it's definitely different working with yourself than it is working with someone else. We hide stuff from ourselves and all sorts of things go on within that nature. So it is more difficult working with yourself. I know that I was my most difficult client. That's for sure.
Hands down.
Hands down, exactly. And so what ended up happening was I learned from that. I learned, well, that was really great. That worked. And so, well, at that point, she asked me to work with other clients until I was working with all of her clients and she didn't work with any. Wow. And I started to basically do all of the clients. And that was a really great opportunity for me because I was able to test the things that I thought would work. I learned how transformation worked by doing that. I mean, there's nothing better than doing it, right. Just like, hey, I'm in the middle of this thing. You got this problem. Let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. One of my first clients after that client was a lady named Casey Craig. And she came in. I thought she was coming in for weight loss, but actually she was coming in instead for help with fibromyalgia. And actually I kind of felt relieved because at the time, I didn't know anything about weight loss. I didn't know if I could help her or not with that. But when she said that she had fibromyalgia, I knew absolutely nothing about that at all. Actually, I didn't know what she was even saying. What are you saying? I don't even know what this is. But she said it was an incurable illness and syndrome. And it was pain in her legs and she can't sleep and she's having all this kind of issue. And she said it was incurable. Well, I said, well, then she can't expect much.
Hello.
Hey, so it really gave me the freedom to let go of whether we can do this or not and say yes to helping her.
Right.
So that was an exciting moment for me. And so when she walked in, by the way, she walked in dragging her foot, which kind of scared me because I'm like, what did I get myself into? I know that I'm going to see this client. She requested to see me because the owner had said, well, I have a new person working here. Maybe you want to try him. And she said, well, I feel so good about working with him. So when she came in, I said, well, why did you request me? She said, I have an intuition that I should be working with you. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, well, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So immediately when she came into my office, I had her sit down. And I asked her a question that really took her aback because no one had ever asked her this question before. And basically the question was, what was happening in your life around the time that, not when you were diagnosed with fibromyalgia, but when you felt something was wrong. Mm-hmm. And At that moment, it came in. The energy of the issue showed up. And I noticed she started to cry, and I went and held her hands. And together, we went into the quantum field, and we moved the energy at the cellular level of the body. And in 4 minutes, she said it left her body. And then I looked at her as if she was crazy, because what left your body?
Right.
What are we talking about here? She said, oh, I felt the fibromyalgia leave my body. Now, in that moment, my brain is very, very confused. Fibromyalgia, she's saying that this was an incurable syndrome, that she's had it for 16 years, and it's like this really huge problem, and now she tells me it's no longer there.
Right.
Okay, who's the crazy one here? I'm trying to figure out, was it me or her? And I really wasn't sure. And so that was a really cool moment, but I didn't want her to think, oh, I didn't believe her. So I just, smiled. Oh, that's great. What do you say? And so I was very happy that she was saying that this happened. So after that, we talked for a few minutes, and then she just left. And when she left, I noticed that she walked differently out of the center. She wasn't dragging her foot behind, which really was interesting, because I noticed how badly she was walking in, but she walked out much better. It wasn't perfect, but it was certainly better than she walked in by a lot. And so I said, wow, maybe what she's saying is so. So the next day she called, and I spoke with her, and she explained that she felt more grounded, and she felt really good, and she felt really strong. And she said, I haven't felt this way, and I can't remember. And I'm like, wow, this is really exciting. I didn't expect all of this. And so then it was shortly after that, she went on a second honeymoon to Paris with her husband. And when she went on the second honeymoon, her husband expected that she would be in bed most of the days, and that he would have his own itinerary to do his own thing most of the days. So the first day she was good. So they went out and walked through Paris and all that, and that was awesome. And then the second day, he fully expected she wouldn't be able to walk with him, and because a lot of walking when you're in Paris. Yeah. And so she was. She also thought, well, that's fine. You go do your thing tomorrow, and I'll wake up when I do. And she actually woke up ready to go, and she was able to walk through Paris that day and the next day, and so on throughout her entire vacation. So when she got back, she called me, and she said, I'd like to come in, and I'd like to give you a testimonial. And she said, I'd like to talk to you about this first, though. She says, I don't give testimonials. I said, well, what do you mean? She says, well, what works for me may not work for anybody else. It has nothing to do with, what I have experienced, may not necessarily be what somebody else may experience. But she said, this is different. What's different about it, she said, is that the way that you work with me and how you were able to have me transform it for myself made the difference. And that if my testimonial could just help one other person, it'd be worth writing it. So she did. So she wrote a testimonial sharing her experience and that she no longer has symptoms of fibromyalgia ever since we worked together. And she sleeps well now, and all is good. And now it's been close to 20 years now since close to 20 years since we worked together. And it is. So she really taught me something through this experience. And really I believe it was her that got me to believe that I could transform myself. I said, well, if I could help her do that, certainly I should be able to help myself with anxiety. So I started to work on my anxiety a little bit differently and got there and was able to release it. But then I also said, well, I don't want these migraine headaches, and I released that too. And then this idea of attention deficit disorder and dyslexia and all that stuff, well, I didn't need that either. So I just said, goodbye. That's not who I am anymore.
Wow. And that's working on the quantum level.
Yes, I work on the quantum level to achieve results that allow us to move the energy at the cellular structure of the body And when the energy moves, it moves in waves. And the waves move to create cellular transformation. And that's why I call it quantum energy transformation.
So do you find that when people come to have a session that they need to believe that they can actually heal, or is that not a part of it?
I love that question, because a lot of things you need to believe. Well, I need to believe it to achieve it, right? Well, that's all in my modality. It doesn't matter. So you don't need to believe it to achieve it. My modality is based on the science of Dr. Brucelipton, who talks about how the cellular structure of the body works and how transformation happens and all of that. And so whether you believe it or not, it's science. So science works whether you believe it or not.
Right.
Right?
Yes,
So
yes.
you could disbelieve it if you want, but that's not going to matter. And here's the real truth. Including myself and everybody that I know who comes to see me or has come to see me, we all don't believe it's going to work. We all have this voice in the back of our head saying, really, this is like the 10th time I've tried, and of course more. And, at this point, we feel like it's not going to work more than it is. So if belief were a factor, then that would definitely hinder the process. But since belief isn't a factor, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. We can still move the energy. Now, if you don't participate,
if you don't show up, you got to come, right?
Then no, it's not going to work if you don't show up. But it will, whether you believe it or not. What I say, this is a really powerful point here. Possibility. You don't have to believe it, but if you could consider the possibility, then, which is much easier than belief. Belief is, I wholeheartedly believe that this is going to work. People would say, well, then I'm lying, right? Because you'd feel that in your body, like, no, I don't quite feel that. But I can believe, I can not believe, I can hold the possibility that this could work. See, feel the energy difference in that?
Without a doubt.
So when you hold the possibility, that's a nice way of allowing it to work, even if you don't believe it's going to work.
Yes. Wow. So you obviously, you have a wide array of people that come to you over the years for different ailments and different things, and a lot of success. So you've come up with different techniques. You've come up with your own ways of helping people. So let's talk a little bit about that. I know one is called, let's talk first about your book, because you got a lot going on, Joshua. So let's go a little at a time. So first, let's talk about your wonderful book.
Oh, thank you. Before we get to my book, though,
because
I love to talk about it, but you said something that I just can't resist. Okay. You said the word technique.
Yes.
In quantum energy transformation, we don't have any techniques.
Uh-huh.
So this is a very different approach than anything else. We work at the higher levels of transformation, which is identity, spirituality, purpose, and possibility. So that's a very different level than when you work at the level of strategy. Strategy is like all the way down here, and possibility and identity is all up here. Think about it this way. If I were to work with you and I helped you change something at the technique level, that means you would do something step by step to get there.
Right.
And you may or may not get there doing that. Let's say you got some benefit out of it. However, if I work with you at the identity level, so now who you are is a person that no longer requires the problem. And now that's you, that's set in stone. That doesn't change. So even if you got somewhere with a technique, it can be undone. But when it's at your identity level, so think about a smoker, for example, even saying that someone is a smoker, that's their identity. It's not something they do, it's who they are. But if you change the person from a smoker to a non-smoker, who they are is no longer someone who smokes. That is their identity. That's a very different thing than stopping for someone from smoking. You see the difference?
I sure do. Definitely.
So identity
I can feel the
is
difference.
Right? Yeah. I can feel it too. Yeah. Identity is a much higher level than the experience of strategy or technique. So the power of this is to realize that when we work at the higher levels of change, we can really manifest and transform whatever we need to create the life that we choose, as well as the health that we choose. And I teach that in my book.
Great entry into your book. Let's talk a little bit about your book. You do that so beautifully, Joshua. I don't know, like I've done this before. Hello, Teresa.
Oh, you're so funny. So yes, my book is called The Ultimate Answer is Inside. And it came from my original idea to have a movie, which I did with the same name. And in the movie is Dr. Bruce Lipton, James Oshman, Bernie Siegel, Donna Eden. So many great people are in the book who share all their experience about quantum transformation and how they've done it in their experiences. And these are like the people in the top of their field, of course. And I love how they share what they share. And in my book, I describe it through through the lens of quantum energy transformation, so that you can experience quantum energy transformation simply by reading the book and going on that journey to understand, how does change work? How does change happen? Because change many times is very difficult and scary and hard and all these things that people put on it, right? But change doesn't have to be that way. Change can be easy, and it can be effortless, and it can be fun. I had
God forbid it be fun.
I know, God forbid it be fun.
I mean, come on, God, don't bring that F word into this, Joshua. Hello.
I know that's an F word.
Well, that's an F word.
There was a client that I had, and I was sitting with her, and I said, "Let's do this. Let's have fun with it." And she looked at me and she said, "This is a serious matter. This is not fun. This is my life. This is important." And I said, "Oh, now I know where we need to start."
Pulling out the F word.
Exactly. I said to her, I get that it's this is very important. But if you really want to get there, if you want to make a transformation, it's important that you engage in a way that you enjoy. Because otherwise you're not going to do it.
Right. Yes.
And so I said, we can still put the importance on it, but could we also include fun in the situation? And she actually got it. She said, "Oh yeah." She said, "I used to have a teacher that I really liked, and I learned a lot from that teacher." And I said, "Great. That's exactly what we want to do here. We want to teach you how to transform this problem so that you can have more fun in your life. And right now, I get you're not having fun, but let's make it fun anyway, because you're more likely to succeed that way."
100% agree. That enthusiasm and fun, you got to bring that in, right?
Got to bring it in.
Yeah, because that is magical words right there.
True.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your free gift for the listeners that are listening to this episode, because you have an amazing free gift that you want to offer today.
Absolutely. It's called Discovering the Science of Quantum Manifestation. And this is an audio that I created along with Bernie Siegel, Bruce Lipton, Donna Eden, all the greats. And they share along with me how to create manifestation. And mostly in the area of health. But if you listen to it, you'll really understand also that it's beyond health. It's about manifesting anything. And it gives you some really good tips and pointers on how to do it, because how manifestation works is different than we've been taught and told about how manifestation works. I remember Bruce Lipton telling me that manifestation doesn't happen the way we think it happens in the law of attraction. And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" I've been working on that, for a long time here. Why is that not working? And he said, manifestation happens unconsciously, not consciously. So unless you shift the subconscious mind, you're not going to have enough energy to create that manifestation. So he said 5% of the time, we are knowing what we're doing. We are conscious of what we are doing. And that's the time we would do something that would help us manifest something. He says 5% isn't nearly enough time in our life to be able to create the manifestations you want to create. So you have to affect the unconscious mind so that you're getting access to the 95% that you're not conscious of, so that you're consciously, or not consciously, you're unconsciously creating manifestation all the time, that becomes a habit. That manifestation is a way of life and a way that you move forward. It's not something that you do 5% of the time. And I thought, wow, that is such a great learning.
Yeah.
And so I discovered how to create manifestation unconsciously, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Instead of consciously, because we're all doing things that we think are going to help. And we spend a lot of time and energy on it, and we get, we're sort of like just the mouse on the wheel.
Right.
And we were like, I wish this would work better. It does work really well when you're using all of your energy, not just the 5% energy, but using all of your energy to unconsciously manifest what you choose to have in your life.
That feels so good. I love that, Joshua.
Thank you.
Well, so that is the free gift. Wow, that sounds like a powerhouse of a free gift.
Thank you.
I like it.
Me too. It's fun to listen to.
Awesome. Well, Joshua, it has been a pleasure having you on today. And I know you've got a website, you've got your book, your movie. I'll have all those show notes, all the links, and the link to this amazing free gift from you. And I'll tell you, I absolutely love your enthusiasm. I love what you're doing. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing with my listeners today and my people on YouTube. So,
well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And I just feel like the questions you asked were really so powerful because it brought out of me what I thought was really important to share today.
Thank you so much, Joshua.
Thank you too. Have a good one.